welcome back to my channel and welcome to the Scotland album. I should probably say, I shouldn't say Scotland per se because I still have quite a few places on my bucket list within Scotland to visit one day when I get back to doing some traveling. This album covers basically Glasgow, which was just a very quick 2-night stay, and Inverness. Inverness was the actual destination and at that point where I wanted to go. This is in May of 2006, so this was really towards the very end of my backpacking trip. Just a month or so, not even a month, a few weeks before coming home. So a lot of the layouts in this album were done, the majority of the layouts, in fact, in this album were done many years ago. This was probably the first album that I completed, and I think I probably completed it except for 2 or 3 pages in 2010 or something. So we'll have a look. Now you see this album here, the introductory page and the title page is different than what I did for the Amsterdam one, but there is a title page, an introductory page straight away that and I've noticed in just doing these 2 albums that I've fallen completely away from doing this type of thing and taking my time to do a lot of handmade items as well. Now with the sampler kits, I'm getting back into making some handmade embellishments, doing that a little bit more. But now you see this, the majority of this page was done on my computer and my printer. Culloden, Loch Ness, Inverness, Glasgow, and the map here were all printed from my computer, cut out, and then a little bit of pattern paper, my punches, punched out. This was punched out from a postcard, a couple of actual tickets. These were bus tickets on the way from Glasgow to Inverness, and there is a nice title page. This one, I do not have statistics, however, so I might go back and do that. And there are a couple of little pages as I went through this that I'll point out that I may need to do another story or 2, but on the whole, this album is done. So the first stop was Glasgow, and you can tell here, this is a very grid layout, a little bit of a border punch, a lot more paper on these early layouts, a lot more paper, a lot less bought embellishments. I made my title. This is a set of dies that I have that I just realized I probably haven't used these in 10 years or so. Punches, just a little triangular piece of paper, a little strip here to give some decoration to the border, and a few buttons. And then this was sort of a companion page. I can't quite recall now if I did it as an actual double page or not, but these are just scenes of Glasgow as I was walking around, some of the statues, the buildings, the churches. So basically here I put the pub, the church, and under the station, the best fish and chips. And I'll talk about that again in a minute. And this lovely pub where I had a nice lunch walking around. This was more in the artistic quarter of Glasgow. Another little handmade embellishment, just a rectangular piece of paper and a couple of ovals. And May, this was in French. Some of this, in the earlier days, some part of my album is in French, some part of my album is in English. It's all a little bit mixed up. Now this page, you see, this page I've done fairly recently. This is using Indigo and Ivy, so I actually did this within the last year. You can see there's a few more embellishments, but I tried to keep the same idea so that the album would be a little bit cohesive. I have 6 pictures here, 2 4x6s, 4 4x4s. I have a feeling this was a sketch. Probably, I know I did this during a Secret Not Secret Kit Club party. A lovely little embellishment here with some wood veneer. And here is a handmade embellishment that I had made during one of the parties. Simple Stories frame. And here my journaling is just, although the origins are mainly in the shipbuilding, the origins of Glasgow were mainly in the shipbuilding industry. Today, Glasgow is quite a cultural city with ballet in particular and the arts. So here, Finding Adventure, a few little die cuts. This was all from the Indigo and Ivy kit that I received, and within that kit, Christina had sent some color cast. Is it color cast designs? Wood veneer, very, very thin wood veneer with a sticky back, which are just, they're gorgeous. And this aptly the highlights. And there you go for this one. And then this page that I did also fairly recently, Indigo and Ivy. So I may have done it on that exact same weekend using the exact same kit. And what a surprise. This is a little bit of a silly page. Yes and no. My ex-husband's name is TJ Hughes. And then all of a sudden, after a few days walking around, and it's quite a large store in the UK, I believe. I don't know if it's as large as it was, or if it even still exists. I had done some research a little while ago, and I think it does, but many of their stores have closed. And there it was, and I love to be walking in downtown Glasgow and come across TJ's name in big letters, LOL. I had had a rough couple of days during this portion of the trip and sort of felt, yeah, figures. So just a little sort of tongue-in-cheek here. So there's not a lot for Glasgow because it was really just sort of a flyby. I had to transfer buses because I took the bus from London to Inverness, and we had to transfer in Glasgow anyway. So I just really spent, well, it was 2 nights, but it was really just a full day because I think on the first day it was just sort of supper time and time to go to the pub or to the fish and chips was about all I got done on that first day. And then on to Inverness. And Inverness is really where I wanted to go. I had read so many novels of Rosamund Pilcher, I think, is that the correct name that I have? Many, many years ago. I think I read all her books, and I finished reading the majority of them in the early 2000s, I believe. And many of them were set in Inverness. And I know if you look her up today, they talk about all her novels being romance novels. I don't remember them as that. I remember them really as slice of life. Really, and there was a lot of information about Inverness and the plains and the fields and the beautiful views. And I really just wanted to go to the Highlands and to Inverness to experience what I had read in the novels in terms of beautiful views, harsh weather. I went in May, and there were no shorts, sandals. There were jackets and rain gear for most of the time that I was there, for sure. Again, using those same letters, I have to dig those out. My goodness me. And I could do today, now that, you know, one thing that is done fairly often is you do 2-3 layers of these, and they almost look like chipboard. Again, handmade embellishments. This is another die that I have. A lot of handmade stuff and a lot of paper in this album. I love it. And then here, this page is about Flora MacDonald, who had helped Bonnie Prince Charles escape from the government troops during the Battle of Culloden in 1745. She was, her family, it's important to say that her family was actually supporting the government. Therefore, she was arrested. I couldn't find whether it was clear whether her family turned her in, but she was arrested, held in the Tower of London, but was then released in 1747, got married, emigrated to the States, where, however, she supported the British government during the American War of Independence. So they lost everything, all their estates, all their money. So she went back to Scotland in not long after, and where she retired, I suppose, and died in Scotland. So a name that will be mentioned in history, and if courage and fidelity be virtues, mentioned with honor. Again, very, very all paper, except here I have some little glittery letters, but still all paper. And then the castle of Inverness, you'll see here, everything, it's the scenery and the areas, and that is sort of harsh. It's not lush flowers. There's a lot of brush and bush, but it's just beautiful. Again, paper, I used an embossing folder here, used my dies to create the title. Inverness, these these flowers from Prima back in the day that sort of matched this pattern paper, which I'm not too sure, where I was certainly using in those days a lot of Stampin' Up! And a lot of basic gray. This might be basic gray. I'm not, it sort of gives me the idea of basic gray. I'm not 100% sure. There we go. Castle. And then here, this is an actual map of all of the walking paths within Inverness. I inked it up a little bit, matted it, and it can open up if I take the page out so that I can see all of the walking tours that we did. So on the west bank, opposite the castle, from here you can wander upriver to Ness Islands, linked by footbridges, or follow several walking paths. So it is a walker and a hiker's paradise. I did a lot of that. Oh, that needs to get back in there. And I did a lot of that, of course, during that year. It was the main purpose. Just popped up a couple of little things here on Pop Dots. Again, all paper, punches. Culloden. Now, Culloden was a full day, and there's a little bit of adventure here. Took the bus, but a lot of walking. Took the bus, but I think from where the bus dropped me off, and I'm not sure whether I had taken the correct one, but I had to walk 3 or 4 kilometers to actually get to Culloden. Again, all paper, a few buttons. But really, so far, this album has been punches, dies, making my titles, making all of my embellishments, just getting a few buttons on here, but very, very, very few bought embellishments. Left this one blank because I'm not sure whether I'm going to put something here. Still within Culloden, 06, May, the Battle of Culloden, April 16, 1746, a turning point in Scottish history. Nearly 9 months after the Second Jacobite Rebellion commenced, and with Bonnie Prince Charles beginning his march on London, the English appointed the ambitious and young Duke of Cumberland to command their forces and pursue the Jacobites. Bad weather, lack of funds, and Cumberland's pursuit forced the Jacobites to retreat north. They ended up at Culloden, where outnumbered and outgunned by the English, exhausted after a full night's march and close to starvation, 1,200 of them were slaughtered at the hands of the English, who lost only 300. Along with their men, their hopes also died on the field in Culloden. So very, very, very historical and quite a thing to spend some time there. Oh, excuse me, there we go with the coffee again in the morning, I swear. These interruptions that I keep doing. There we go. Sorry about that. Leave and just let you look at the fields of Culloden. There you go. I'm so sorry. Because I try and get a couple of videos recorded before I leave for work in the morning, because my schedule now during this period is short, and I'm a very, very early riser, so I always imagine I can get all sorts of things done before I go to work. So sorry once again. So in the aftermath, the wearing of the tartan, the bearing of arms, and the playing of bagpipes were all banned. Rebel clan chiefs lost their land, and the Highlands were placed under military occupation. The clan system was effectively destroyed. Bonnie Prince Charles lived out his life in drunken exile. So on the fields of the battle, and look at this, remember doing these? I should do that again. These are so fun. You take a strip of paper and you just score sort of every quarter inch or so, and you make these lovely rosettes. And this one, I had even used a border punch. I had even used a border punch on it beforehand. That's cool. I should do that again with a little button, a couple of buttons. Again, all paper. I did not put, oh geez, I'm just noticing here through all of these buttons, I didn't put any thread through my buttons. I did start doing that not long after, no thread in my buttons. So there you go, paper and naked buttons and dies that make an album. And I still love this album. So back to simpler scrapbooking times. I took this one out because there's a lot to it. Clava Cairnes, which is, again, I sort of wandered off at the after lunch sometime in the early afternoon after spending the entire morning in Culloden, and I took a wrong turn somewhere on my way to trying to find the bus, and I found these beautiful stones. I put here in French Sérénité, which is serenity, Clava Cairnes. And again, so I guess, was it a type of Stonehenge, but within Scotland? So I just wandered, and I must have spent about an hour here, and I did one of these lever lifts, which Christy inspires me to do, and I don't know whether it might have been inspired by Christy. That was one of the very, very first channels I followed, and I think she had done a Christmas album, and she had done a Christmas album, a December daily, which I think was her first project shared on YouTube, and she had made it from beginning to end. So this may have come, because I know recently the inspiration I have had for these types of flips have been definitely from Christy. Here we go, a little chipboard here that I don't know if it's raw or if I inked it a little bit myself with just a few little pearls. Used my dies, border punches, these to sort of hold that down to make it look a little bit more like a book. Oh, here I've just added a little bit of bling, so we're starting to add a few more items. This lace ribbon, I'll have to go in and fix that. So, a great chance discovery. As we were leaving the battlefield of Culloden in search of the bus stop back to Inverness, a small sign caught our attention. It indicated the Clava Cairnes about a mile away. We were intrigued and therefore followed the sign. About 20 minutes later, through the countryside, we arrived at an impressive collection of prehistoric burial chambers. Wow. Dating back to 2000 BC or before. The Cairnes are I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Somebody please give me the correct pronunciation in the comments down below. Are encircled by standing stones and surrounded by mature beech trees. There is a ring cairn, which you can see here a little bit better. There you go. You can see that there. Where am I? The ring cairn, as well as what is called passage graves. These have a narrow passageway from the edge into the center. Oh no, so I guess that's this. Into the center. So we spent a lovely hour just sitting quietly and contemplating. Then the rain came. Luckily we had our rain gear because it was very chilly. We didn't go anywhere. I didn't go anywhere without my rain gear. And the friends I was with, we had our rain gear on, but had no idea of where we were, how far from Inverness or how to get back there. We went running into a nearby farm that had a type of garden center open to the public. We found out that we were actually in the middle of nowhere and had to walk back to Culloden to get a bus. The lady was kind enough to give us directions because we really had no idea, and a cup of tea. Just such lovely hospitality. So off we went in the pouring rain. About 5 minutes or so, only into the journey, a car honked. An Inverness taxi driver had gone into the garden centre a few minutes after us to buy some potted plants. The lady told him about us, and he came in search. Is that not just awesome? These types of stories, I have many, not thousands, but in a lot of the places that we went, there is some of these stories of lovely, generous people, hospitality. So he came in search of us to give us a lift back to Inverness. Once back in Inverness, he took us to the grocery store and actually waited to take us back to the B&B. He would not accept a penny, only a pint. We were just able, a small group of us, we were just able to just take him to the pub, buy him a pint, and he kept us entertained with great tales. Just another fond memory of a great week, great people, and a great place. Inverness was a highlight of my trip for sure. Highland sights. This is just a place to rest our eye a little bit throughout the album. The fields, beautiful, beautiful architecture, lovely views, sheep, just lovely air everywhere you look. Highland sights. These are some cork letter stickers that I had. The rest here again, all handmade. And Loch Ness itself, here is the view, the lake, and the view from way above. Did a lot of inking here, punch circles and dies. The scalloped ones here are dies, so these are all dies, and this the ones with the lovely little holes, and these regular scallop ones are punches. Loch Ness again, just some beautiful, beautiful views. Another lovely walk and hike, because now I'm quite a ways away. And again, the same kind of thing. From Inverness, the bus took us to the center. That's the and me. This is sort of like the center. This is where it drops you off. And I think there may have been a shuttle or something that we could take to the actual Loch Ness site, the center, the lake, and the museum type thing. But the friend that I was with, that I had met in Inverness, we chose to walk, and I think it was about a 5 or 6 kilometer walk. So it was another fun day. So there you have it, my adventures in Inverness, fond memories. And I love this album. And have you noticed how paper, and obviously how I suppose I took a lot more time with these pages, because evidently if you're going to punch everything, hand make everything, you are going to take some more time making your pages. But they are fairly simple, so I guess it all comes out. You know, there's no mixed media. I didn't do any mixed media. The only thing that I was aware of at that point was doing some inking edges with distress ink, doing some punches, using a lot of buttons, a little bit of wood veneer, more ephemera. I just love this album. So there you go, one of the first albums that I completed, and I enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed coming along to a quick pass through Glasgow and a little bit more time in Inverness and its beautiful surroundings and the historical Culloden. Have a wonderful day. Let me know what you think. And we'll have another album for you, I guess, soon. I'm not too sure which one I should work on next. Portugal is very close to being finished, if not finished. I will have to look at that. And Switzerland needs to get done. You can vote for which should be next, Portugal, Switzerland. Let me know in the comments below. And let me know whether this brought you back to a simpler time of scrapbooking, or do you still take the time and use your tools and get a lot of paper-made embellishments. I know, Dorothy, if you're watching this, I know you do the most beautiful and amazing and intricate embellishments with your punches. And Ronnie, you do too. But people, do you still scrap this way? Or is it something that now, having seen this, you say, you know what? I should go back to that. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for being here. Bye.